If you don't like watching silver getting chopped up and sort of destroyed, then this video is probably not going to be for you. But in follow-up to the big video that we did on Sunday, talking about when I was trying to buy 25 1 kilo bars, a lot of people said, how do you know it's genuine? Well, one of the surefire ways to know if it's genuine is to chop it up and see what it looks like inside. Now, I'll grant you, that is not the easiest way to go about checking your silver, because at the end of the day, you end up with a chopped up bar of silver, and that's no use to anyone except somebody like me who will go away and do some silver pouring. But nevertheless, it's a good way to know that what you've got is genuine. So, let's talk about buying big bars of silver like this, checking them and making sure that everything is above board. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another Precious Metal Ramble. So first up, I would like to apologise to all of you silver lovers out there for having to watch the decimation of this kilo bar, but unfortunately that's just business. And you might ask, why have I done that? And it's because, well, I make my own poured silver. I've got some of it here. You can see a big tray of it in the background. I'm just in the middle of a dispatch at the moment for our annual products, and it don't fit in the crucible if you have it in a big kilo bar form. So I chop it up and I melt it down and I make my own bits of poured silver. That's just what I do, and it's business. So I kind of apologize, but also make no apologies for showing you that. I think it's quite interesting to see what a kilo bar of silver looks like when it's chopped up as well. You can see quite clearly that it is silver all the way through. It's not clad, and it's certainly not got any kind of lead core. So I want to talk about, how do you know whether or not something like this is genuine? I got a lot of comments in the video I did over the weekend. It was a very popular video, and I got a lot saying, oh, they're probably fake, and you've you know, got clad bars there and so on. And I can say with almost 100%, you can never disregard that 0.01% chance that something awry might happen in one of these bars, but I've got a very close to perfect chance record of saying that these bars are absolutely fine and absolutely genuine. And there's a few steps that I took as an individual to make sure that those were okay. And when I was challenged by my bank as to whether or not they were genuine and whether or not I was being scammed or defrauded and whether the silver was genuine or not, I could answer with that certainty. And whilst I don't like the intrusion of the bank saying, hey, you know, we need to know a lot more about what you're doing, at the same time, I get that there are some protections and precautions that they like to put in place, not only for themselves, but to help the customers as well. Two schools of thoughts in the comments of that last video as well. A lot of people challenging the bank for putting their nose into our business, but also a lot of people going, well, they're doing the right thing. And I kind of agree. It's annoying, but it's also really quite good to have, especially if they don't. If they'd held the payment for days, that's a different thing, but they only held it for a few hours, so that wasn't too bad. So what do I do to make sure that they were genuine? And I have a Sigma machine here. There's no doubting that this machine is one of the sort of key cornerstones, and this is one of the big ones with the bridge extension, which allows you to test big chunky bars of silver like this. And I'll just do a quick test here in the background of this of one of these bars for you. But this is impractical to take out, and certainly where we were in the middle of a commercial bank, suddenly taking out this machine and having all of these silver bars going through every single one is not necessarily that practical for me. So first steps that I took were that I wanted to make sure that who I was dealing with was reputable. Reputation is everything in this game. It really cannot be stated how important reputation is. And the person that I was buying from had a solid reputation. So you can see here on the results, hopefully you can see over here in the corner, that we've got two results solidly in the green for this gold bar. I wish it was a kilo gold. Wow, that would be good. Silver bar, easy peasy, job done. So that's just confirming what I kind of already knew anyway from my own experience. And from buying from this reputable source, from buying from somebody who has this reputation of being a good seller, as somebody who's sold an awful lot of precious metals, I feel like their risk versus reward, that is just far too outstretched. Now, I'm not saying that there can't be people out there who will sort of string you along in a way, and they'll have all of these wonderful things go on for ages, and then suddenly they will just run away with all your money. That's certainly possible, and I'm not naive enough to think that that can't happen. And so then you have to meter things with a potential amount of risk. And for me, meeting somebody in person, picking up the bars and paying on the day, that's how that risk is somewhat metered. If I walk away with these bars and say one of them's fake, which is very, very unlikely, but let's just say that that happens, then it's a case of just going to the seller and addressing that and working out what the plans are with that. And, he was really good about asking whether or not I wanted to do the testing on the day, and that's just what it is. I'm sure there'll be some people in the comments that are cringing, going, why didn't you test them on the day? Because ultimately, my own experience with this is also really invaluable. And I've seen this so many times when talking with bullion dealers. Bullion dealers will know pretty quickly whether or not something's a bit suspect with things. And that goes with coins, bars, whatever it might be. And I've learned that sort of sixth sense over this last sort of 10 years, 8 years, 9 years. How long's it been? 9 years, I think, of buying silver. I know what silver should feel like. I know what it should look like. I know what it, density feels like, and how the heat comes out of your hand when you hold it. There are a lot of things that you can learn about silver by handling it, and so many people don't like to even handle stuff these days, and you learn so much from that by doing it. Another thing that I want to say is that the chances of there being some fake bars is pretty low, and that might seem a bit strange to some people, because a lot of people are really scared of fakes, think they're everywhere. Now, arguably, there are a lot more fake coins than there are bars, and there's a few reasons for that. Coins, they are easier in some ways to fake. You can pretty much get coins to the right diameter and dimensions these days, or to the right weight. Not everybody will test everything, but if you have, say, a kilo bar like this and it's coming in at perfectly 1,000 grams, then one of two things are happening here. They've either got something perfectly to match the density of this in the right dimensions, especially when you've got a batch of different bars all of the same type, and they're all exactly the same dimensions, then you're in for an exact, the scale doesn't go up too high, but you're in the exact right range of where things should be. So here we've got a slight over amount of 0.8 of a gram, and that's going to be the same on pretty much every single bar. The chances of somebody taking the time, 1.1 extra grams, oh my God, I've got a bonus there. The chances of somebody taking a little bit of time to put a lead core into one of these bars and then putting the silver around it is you need a lot of skill, you need a lot of equipment to do that kind of thing. And it is not easy to do. And speaking as somebody who hasn't necessarily done that, but somebody who has poured a lot of silver, you don't have a lot of time to work with. You can't just pour a silver bar and then chuck a piece of lead in there and hope that you're going to get the right weight and everything, and look and feel of the bars. Not going to happen. That's just not worth it. And reputation is just key. Like SMP Bullion, who made these bars, they are not going to fake bars. They will just lose their entire business. What's the point? It's just not worth it at all. Now, if somebody fakes an SMP bar and makes a copper-clad version of this and it's found out on the market, I'm sure that SMP will have something very strong to say about that kind of situation. But the chances of that happening are relatively low, certainly in silver anyway. You've got to ask yourself, how much is there to gain from the person who's faking it? If they put a lead core in there, what are they going to replace? Maybe 25% of the weight. If they do copper-clad silver, you're going to have a really good way of making it into the right sort of size and weight, but that's going to be difficult. So realistically, you're not going to find too many fake silver bars. Gold, maybe, but then who's going to buy a 1 kilo gold bar and not have it thoroughly tested? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. Coinage, a little bit more common to see some fakes. I have come across some fake silver coins in my time, but again, they stick out like a sore thumb most of the time. It is possible for some to slip through though, and even some of the best stackers out there have had them. I took a batch of silver from a gentleman last year to sell, and he had a couple of fake silver eagles in there that we caught, and he had none the wiser. But then he had quite a large collection, so it's difficult sometimes to keep on track of things unless you're doing the minute checks on everything, which we do. And reputation, I think, is the key message to sort of finish this video up by saying, like, if there's something out there that you're looking to buy, and you're looking to buy it from somebody, then ask yourself, what's their reputation like? If they're just a Joe Bloggs dealer that you've never heard of before, then the risks versus reward of getting a slightly better price on something, if you can buy a kilo bar off Joe Bloggs Bullion in his bedroom for 20 quid less than from a big dealer, then the risk reward, is it really worth it? Perhaps for some people it might be, but I think for others perhaps not. So just think about that, and case example here, my reputation, I like to think anyway, is pretty exemplary and stellar. And that's backed up by the fact that over the course of the 9 years, 8 years, I've lost count now. When did we start? July 16. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 8 years. 8 years I've been on YouTube doing videos. We've had some pretty special things being put in our trust. We've had £50,000 worth of other people's coins delivered to us to then distribute. Could have walked with any of those any time. Not really life-changing sums of money in that you can retire off that. So why would I bother? I last year took £800,000 worth of other people's gold and silver and sold it on their behalf. Now, I couldn't have walked off with all of that at once because not everybody sent it all at once. And of course, if I'd walked off halfway through, nobody would have sent the rest of it. But you see the point here, that there's risk reward. And what's the point in doing that if you have, that sort of mental state on your mind? If you're just in it to do some good things and good business, then the chances of being ripped off by somebody else doing exactly the same is very low, in my opinion. Now, look, this is all down to your own discretion about what's right for you in your own circumstances. Not everybody can go away and chop up a silver bar. Not everybody can afford a £2,700 machine to test their silver bars. Not everybody can afford to buy giant kilo silver bars. That's fine. But just use your common sense, use your brain, use your senses about what the bars and coins feel like, look like. How are you buying them? Where are you buying them from? Are you getting them from somebody that's reputable? Are you getting scammed? Ask those questions over and over again. And maybe, just maybe, your bank won't actually have to intervene if they think that something a little bit fishy is going on. So there we go. Now, it'd be great to know what you think down in the comment section. Please don't shout at me too much for chopping up this bar. I've chopped up far bigger and far worse, I'm sure, as I'm sure you'll all remember with the 5 kilo Geiger bar. In fact, have I got that here somewhere? I think I've got it hidden away. Yeah, haven't made too much more progress on it as I haven't the need to pour a lot of silver right now, but I'm sure at some point I will crank up the old choppy sticks. What are they called? My mind is just completely blank. Bolt cutters, choppy sticks, honestly. What am I like? Anyway, really, really fun to chop that up, let me tell you. And it's something that I think is far worse than this SMP bar. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Otherwise, that's it from me. I hope that answers some of the follow-up questions that I got from that video over the weekend. And I'd love to know if anyone's got any more thoughts on this. So if you are watching to the back end of the video and you haven't subscribed yet, then you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, that's it from me. We'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.